Okay, orientation class 2 or orientation part 2 for our essay class. So I'm having everybody go to the shared from the essay class folder. It should be in your shared with me on Google Docs. And we are going to start this class out by doing a real quick exercise that we're going to kind of do throughout the course of the class. That's why we're going to start with it so that we have time to do it several times. It's kind of in several parts. So you're going to go to, let me get to mine. You are going to the folder that says optional memory writing practice. So open that one up. And then there's a whole bunch of things in here. You're just going to pick one that looks interesting and read it. And that's all you're going to do for this part of it. Okay? I'm going to pause the video and give you guys time to read one, to choose one. I hope I'm talking loud enough for you guys on there. Yeah, so we're in the optional memory writing practice folder, and you're just going to choose an article and read it. And I'm going to pause that while we do that. Okay, so that's all we're doing for that part is just we're reading through it. We're going to read it again later. If you guys have been in both of you have been in the research class, you probably already know that we're going to write about it later. Okay, that's what we did in the last class. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little exercise. When you guys are writing essays, have you noticed that we usually write in a formal style or in a formal tone, like we don't use contractions? Maybe not so much essays, let me say that. When you guys wrote the research papers, most of you weren't allowed to use contractions depending on what you were writing about. And so there's a different voice that you take depending on who your audience is, okay? So we're going to do like a little exercise that I hope it'll be fun. I've never tried this before, but it actually looks kind of fun. What you guys are going to do is get into your research papers. Do you still have access to your research paper that you wrote? Okay, get into your research paper and just pick a sentence out of your research paper, maybe something out of the first paragraph or so that you don't have to look for too long. Find a good sentence, not too short, not too long, and then we're going to do an exercise with it. And for those of you watching on here, just find something that you've written recently or something that you're working on, and if you can't find anything that you've written, just get online and look for a sentence about anything. Look up your favorite topic, maybe it's planets or something. All right, or choose a sentence out of these optional memory writing practice articles that I have posted on here that you guys just looked at. Okay, so now everybody's got a sentence picked out. What you're going to do is you're going to write this down or type it up. Restate the same exact sentence, only using a different voice. Okay, so when you wrote it the first time, you wrote it as Layla, or you wrote it as Rebecca, or you wrote it because you knew I was listening to it, so you just acted like a person who would write to a teacher. You know what I mean? Your voice changed depending on who's reading it or who's saying it. This time, why don't you guys write it as though you're a politician? Here, let me give you a list. You pick two of these things. I'll give you a list of ways to write, of characters to write in their voices, and pick the two that you think would be the funnest or the easiest or the best. Okay, so you can either write as a politician. You don't have to write these down, but only write them down if you like the way they sound. You can write as a politician. You can write as a 5-year-old child. You can write as someone who's trying to sound smart. You can write as a used car salesman, so you're pitching something, you're selling something. A comedian, a bored teenager who just really has to get his work done. A grandmother, a liar, someone who's super excited about the topic, or someone who is sarcastic. Okay, so pick two of those things. I'll read them again if you want me to. You guys can rewind. And pick two of those things and then rewrite the sentence based on who you are who you're speaking as. Okay, so I know that was hard on you guys. Okay, so what I picked a sentence out of, it's the penguin article on the optional memory writing practice. Okay, so the sentence is, the penguin's black back and white front has an important function too, camouflage in the water. Okay, so that's the one I picked. I went with used car salesman, and so I wrote, the penguin's high-tech color scheme is the perfect feature for going unnoticed in extremely wet conditions. So that was the first one. So you just be silly. And then the 5-year-old child, I wrote, when you see a penguin, you see that it is black and white. When it gets in the water, it's hard to see because of the colors. So I tried not to use very hard, difficult words, and I repeated myself a little bit. So, okay, and that is that one. Okay, so you see how you can get into different mindsets. Like, switching between those two is really hard because, like, first you're the used car salesman and it's like, okay, I got to think like I'm selling something, and then the second one, you're a kid and it's like all of a sudden your brain, you have to shut off whatever you were thinking before and like become a kid again. So I don't know. Was it fun at all, or was it just like, why is she asking me to do this? It's just kind of different. So you can see that writing in a different voice will make a difference how you write. Now, thankfully, we don't have to do that. But if you were writing children's books, then you would have to do that, right? You would have to get into, and if you were a politician, you would have to write maybe something to other politicians, or if you were writing a commercial for a car salesman. Maybe you're not even the car salesman, but you're writing the commercial. You have to get into his head and think like he thinks so that you're writing down the right script, is the way he would talk. Okay, so I don't know if we'll do the next bit, but so something you can do on your own at home if you want to, and you don't have to, is flip that around. And as Layla was asking earlier, imagine that you have a different kind of audience. Imagine that you have an audience of politicians, or imagine that you have an audience of 5-year-olds, or maybe say you're writing it in a way that your family is going to understand it, or in a way that your family would read it later. The options that they had for that was write to someone you want to impress, write to someone that you hate was an option. Right, and I changed I don't know, how would you write to a used car salesman? I don't know if that would be any different, but you can try that one if you want to, but I changed that one to write to a child or write to a member of your family, okay? And then another exercise you can do if you want to that's connected to this one, we probably won't do it in class unless we just have tons of time left over at class, is to take the same exercise that you guys just did and write in your own speaking voice. So it's not the way you wrote the report where you know you're writing to me and your teacher's going to read it, but instead you're writing it the way you would say it, okay? Writing it the way you would say it. All right, so you guys can do those later if you want to. All of this is recorded on the video. You probably don't want to do them anyway, but in case you do like to work your brain out a little bit, you can do those for sure. Okay, so how long have we been in class so far? Okay, what I want you guys to do now is to go back to the article that you read earlier and reread it really quickly. All right, now I'm going to pass out homework. We're going to talk about homework. Layla and Rebecca, and I have a little bit more here. There you go. So I put a couple of these on cardstock because you'll be using them every week. Actually, I think you might be using all of them every week. One of them I don't know why I didn't print it on cardstock. One of them is just a copy of your homework. So let me get into those because I didn't make copies for myself. So let me look really quickly at what I just passed out to you guys. One of them is a copy of your homework, and you see that I have, it says Essay Class 2 on it. And what I've done was I've made you guys some checklists. You don't have to use these, but if you do, I think it'll help you guys make sure that you covered all of your bases every week, because this is the last time I'm going to see you for this class. So the things in the checklist here are just to kind of guide you through the process, since you have to write like 7 essays, okay, so that you don't forget to do anything important. The last thing on the checklist says 2 quizzes, so that's to remind you to do your 2 quizzes, because I don't want you to write your essay and then completely forget to do the quizzes. So yeah, that is your homework for the next 7 weeks, is to do the quizzes and to write the essays. Okay? Now I want you guys to look at your quick reference for essay writing. It is the one, I don't know if I've labeled it. Let me see if it has a label at the top or not. Sometimes I name my files and I don't name it. Yeah, it says quick reference essay writing on it. Okay, so for every topic that you guys choose to write about, remember you're going to do 1 a week. You're going to kind of ask yourself these questions. Okay? This is just to get you through the process really quickly. Just move through it as fast as you can. I mean, not to be in a hurry, but try not to get hung up on any one thing. Just go through the steps. Okay? We're going to be talking about these. Let's see.
What is the file called?
It is called, it's in your thing, but I also gave you a paper copy of it. It says quick reference for essay writing. It's one of the ones that's a hard copy. It's like on cardstock. Okay? It's in there anyway. It's under the one that says if you lose your copy or if you need to reprint. I'm not sure exactly what it's named. Okay, so it says quick reference for essay writing. So it's going to remind you to pick a topic. It's going to remind you to think of what voice you're going to be writing in, what kind of essay type. All of these are just like 1 or 2 sentences each for each thing you're going to be thinking about. If you need more information about any one of these things, that Y essay file that I passed out last week, remember it was kind of long and you guys wrote some things down on it, has all of these things in it in greater detail. Okay? So if you get down to where it says essay type and you're like, what does she mean essay type? Okay? You can go back to that file and see that in greater detail. Okay? And see what kind of essay types I'm talking about there. Okay, so this is just for your use. Every time you write an essay, you can just go through this and make sure you did everything. And then these correlate, I think, with the checklist, and you can check them off as you do them. Okay, you don't have to. I'm not collecting this stuff. So if you develop your own system, then that's cool too, okay? As long as you're making sure everything gets done, which is where the rubric comes in. It should say essay rubric on it. And it's also on a piece of cardstock. You guys see that? It's got the blue. We talked about this a little bit last week, right? So after you guys get done writing your essays, maybe even as you go through it, you're thinking about all of this stuff. And then whenever you get done writing your essay, just double check and make sure that you've done everything in the first column. That's the column you're going for, okay? The column that says 1 point. And then I will use this when I grade your papers, okay? So if there's something that you're lacking in a little bit, you'll know that I'm going to catch it, okay? But also, it's good to have a rubric too, because then you know that the teacher isn't grading you on what she thinks of your topic. You know, what if you guys pick a topic and I'm like, whoa, why are they writing about that, right? Or I hate thinking about that. Or what if you just pick a topic that I hate? It'll make sure that I'm not accidentally grading you guys based on the fact that I hate it and not on the fact that, like, it's spelling or something, okay? All right, so there's that. Do you guys have any questions about the rubric, or did you guys get a chance to look at those files last week maybe? Like maybe you didn't, I didn't assign for you too. But if you have any questions about anything, just email me, okay? Or if do you have questions right now that you know of? We good? Okay. All right. So what is the next thing I want to do? Okay, I want to get to more of the brainstorming today, because last time I was really looking forward to doing it, and then we kind of completely ran out of time. So there are lots of different ways to brainstorm things. Okay, I'm trying to think of how we can come up for a topic for brainstorming. Let's see if I have any. I don't have any ideas written down. So let's just come up with some topics that we might want to brainstorm. For instance, you guys did that homework last week about where you picked out a couple of topics and kind of did a little bit of brainstorming on your own. What were a couple of the topics that you think would make you can either give me those topics that you picked or kind of just shout out some topics that you might want to write about for this class. So I'll start, let's say, topic of, it's harder than it sounds, isn't it? Teaching my little sister how to write a book report. That's a topic. Okay. What were you thinking of writing about?
I mean, I told you about the whole technology.
Right. Okay. So that one, let's see. So that one is, do people use their cell phones too much? Kind of an idea, right? Okay. And then what was one of yours?
I guess the best one is brainstorm might be how to teach your dog to walk on a teeter.
A teeter. Oh, is that kind of like a teeter-totter?
Yeah,
so
that's
okay.
something like that.
All right. All right. So what I want to do is, let's take the one about do people use their phones too much. Let's focus on that one because we all can connect to that one. And because if we do the teeter one, I'm afraid I don't know, Rebecca doesn't know. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take that topic, do people use their phones too much? And I'm going to pass out, this is the 6 thinking hats method of brainstorming, okay? Now, I don't know, I got this off the internet, so these colors didn't correlate with the other colors that I found for it, so the colors might be wrong, but the hats are the same. So there's this thinking method, brainstorming method that somebody came up with, and I don't know if people actually wear hats or not, but if you get 6 people in a room, you can have each person wearing one hat, okay? Now, there's only 3 of us, so maybe we'll do 2 hats apiece, okay? Let me make sure. Okay, so let me read these off. So if you have the green hat, then the only things you can say about the topic are creative ideas, thinking outside the box, things maybe that people wouldn't necessarily think of, okay? Creativity, new ideas, and concepts. That's the green hat. Okay, I'm going to give that one to you. If you have the black hat, you can only be pessimistic and say, what could go wrong with this? Well, this could go wrong, or that could go wrong, or that could go wrong, or that could go wrong. I'm going to give that one to you. Okay. If you have the white hat, you're coming up with facts, just the facts. No emotion, just the statistics. And now, have you looked at any of the statistics yet? Not yet. Okay. So, I don't know if we'll be able to do this one or not because we don't have the facts. Okay. The blue hat, if you have the blue hat, you're just managing everybody and making sure they stick with the rules of their hat. Okay? So, like, if you say something good about it, I have to be like, no, you've got the black hat. You keep your mouth shut for right now. Okay, so we're not going to use that either because I think this is good. Okay, yellow hat is optimism, benefits, and value. Okay, I'll take that one. And then red hat is feelings and intuition, initial emotional response. So this is just the emotion that comes into play. So we won't do this one yet. What we'll do is we'll kind of rotate the hats around the table a little bit. Okay, but we won't use the blue hat and we won't use the factual hat because we don't have any of the facts yet. Okay, so I'm going to pause that while we do this. And if you guys over there on the other side of the internet want to do an activity like this, you can pick a topic, you can get some people together. But I really think it'll be better if we just pause it here. Okay. Okay, so the cool thing about this method is that you will come up with ideas that you ordinarily wouldn't come up with. Like, Rebecca, if you write an essay on this topic, you would be sitting there thinking of all the ideas that you're going to have about it, but they're just whatever's floating around inside your head already, right? If you use the 6 thinking hat method and restrict yourself to only thinking about optimistic ideas for a few minutes and only thinking about negative ideas for a few minutes, only thinking about creative ideas for a few minutes, you are going to have ideas come into your head that would have never come into your head on their own, okay? And that's why, and it's especially fun with a lot of people because then you get all kinds of ideas that you really never could have had, right? Because you're getting everybody's ideas. And I think it could be, I don't know, I would like to actually get a bunch of people together sometime and like just have a brainstorming session on something maybe that's important. I don't know, like a social issue or something that maybe we could do something about. I think that would be really fun. So anyway, that's the brainstorming method that I think is really, really cool. Now what I want you guys to do is I'm going to, so remember we tried that mind mapping software last week and it didn't work? And I figured out why. It's because as I typed in, I should have hit refresh, I think, or I should have hit save. And if you guys would have refreshed your page, oh, that's right. I would have had to save it first because it didn't save as you go along. I'm so used to Google software that saves as you go, and that one didn't. I would have had to actually hit the save button, and then you guys would have had to refresh your screen. Okay, so I found a different one. It's called draw.io. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this. I'm going to start one up and then share it with you. So whenever I do this, it'll show up in your shared with me file. But let me get your names in here real quick. Okay, I shared that with you guys. So click on the shared with me file and see if it shows up in there. It's not in the essay class folder. It's an orange thing. Got it? Okay. And you might have to give it permission. I'm not sure if you have to give it permission to see it or not. So if you guys want to use this, it's on draw.io. You can just type that in, and you can tell it to save to your Google Drive if you want to. I can't see your screen. Is it really that dark? Is it just loading up? What does yours look like, Layla? Is it loaded up? Is it just a white page?
Yep.
Okay. So hopefully yours comes through pretty quick. Go ahead and open it with that orange thing. Okay, I think that's going to work. So there are some shapes in the left-hand corner. I can oh, it looks like I can just click it. If I click on one of the shapes, it just adds it to the file. Do you guys see that? So there's a bunch of shapes kind of getting added to the file. And then I can take them and kind of rearrange them if I want to, just by dragging them around. Now you guys, can you see what I'm doing as I'm doing it? Are things moving around in that file? Okay. No. I wonder what yours looks like. Is it just still the white page?
No, mine's on there. I see everything. I can move stuff.
You can move stuff too.
See anybody else?
Okay. Oh, you didn't see the things that I moved? Interesting. Did yours move around on there as I was moving it? I wonder. Hang on a second. Let me make sure.
Oh, okay. I think I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, here, can you move something again?
Yeah. Did it move? Okay, okay. And somebody added a circle, right? All right, so click on the shape in the left. Do you see all the shapes that are on the left in the left panel? Just click on one. And it adds it to the file. Okay? So you can use this, and the cool thing is you can use it live, like we can all see what each other is doing. We could pick one of these things Let's see. Let me back up a bunch. I'm going to undo a bunch of things. And make it blank again. I can't undo the things you guys did. Okay, so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a square. And I'm going to put it kind of in the middle. Okay. And then you can color it. You can start typing. You don't even have to click in it. If it's selected already, you can start typing. Okay? Let's talk about the dogs for a second. So you're going to teach a dog new tricks, right? Hi guys. Hi.
Are we early?
Just this week, is it from 10 to 11? Is that okay?
Oh, I thought you said 9:30 for this week. Oh, okay.
No, it's 9:30 all the time, except this week it was going to be. Yeah, that's okay.
Alright, well, I have to run to Walmart, so I'll be
Okay, alright, I'll see you. Okay, so you can just start typing in there, teach your dog new tricks or whatever you want to. And then, I'm going to take this hexagon that someone put in there. What you can do is I'm hovering over the teach your dog new tricks. You guys hover over that. I don't know if you can see the same thing that I can see or not.
Oh, yeah.
There's these little X's coming off the side of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can grab hold of one and drag it down to this next thing. Okay? You can make flowcharts with these. You can make mind maps with these. It doesn't matter. You can write words along these lines or do all kinds of things. So, oops, I accidentally hit the one that says teach a dog. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Anyway, I made a couple of mistakes because I am not really used to this. Okay. So you could say teach a dog new tricks. Let's teach him how to sit up. What do you call that thing? Teeter?
Yeah, it's a teeter. It's really like if you try to let the dog walk over it.
Right.
Make it quick.
And they try not to fall off, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Or,
They have to wait till it goes down.
that's cool. Do you guys see the arrows? If you are, like I'm on the one that says teeter, if I move my cursor down a little bit, there's an arrow pointing down.
Yeah.
Okay, if I hit that, it creates one that comes off of there, and it says teeter again, but I'm just going to change it to where it says walk slowly. Okay, then I'm going to hit another arrow coming off of teeter and write don't fall. Okay, things like that. And then, of course, you would have to have, I know because you're training, you would have to have certain things that the trainer would have to, like we could have a whole other section. Oops, I didn't connect that to anything. Okay, we have a whole other section, trainer. And then everything coming off of this one can be things that the trainer would have to say, or things that the trainer would have to do. Things like that. Okay, so you can use this to brainstorm also, and the reason that I like this one better than the other one is because you can collaborate with people in live time. Now the other one that we used last week is the mind maps, is set up more to where it does everything in a certain color if it's an idea off of your old idea. Like let's say you have an idea that's red, it makes everything else red that comes off of that idea. So it's easier to see. You can do that on here, but you have to do it yourself. It doesn't happen automatically. If it does, I haven't figured out how to do it. Okay? So that is another way to brainstorm. So if you're more of a pen and paper girl, you can do the same kind of thing on pen and paper. But if you would like to have like a record of it on your computer, I thought this was a pretty cool one. All right. And then, wow, how much time? Does this class went over at 10? Oh, okay. Boy, there's just so many things. I had so many ideas, and I was like, oh, that won't take very long. We're going to have so much extra time left after class. I'll tell you guys about a couple more of these. So we did the storyboarding last week, but we didn't really have a lot of time. And that is where you write all of your ideas on sticky notes, and then you just rearrange them. So let's say that you're doing the one about the dog, okay? And you get all your ideas down as separate idea on a different sticky note, and then you decide a good order for your essay to be in. Okay, you could do the same thing with the cell phones. Okay, just all your individual ideas and then just rearrange them. Okay, we didn't really do that. We don't really have time to do it. I'm thinking about someday just doing like a brainstorming class. I don't know, but I think if we got like 20 people, of course I couldn't get that many people in here. If we got like 10 people in here though, I think it would be fun and we wouldn't be so intimidated, I hope. Okay, so here's another one. It's called Zero Draft, where you write down everything you currently know. Okay, so you would write down everything you currently know about teaching the dog how to walk on the teeter, and you would write down everything you currently know about cell phone usage, whether it's too much or not, everything you can think of, and then write down things you still need to know. Okay, this is more of a research one. If you're writing an essay off the top of your head for an SAT test, you won't have time to do research, right? But then you can write down everything you still need to know, and then anything else that pops into your head. Okay, if it's just an opinion about it or just an idea that you're having about it, maybe it's not a fact at all, just how you feel about it. You can write that down as well, and then you know where to start. You can go start looking things up that you don't know. Okay. The other one that would be good probably for this class is brain writing. Okay, so everybody writes down a few rough ideas for solving a particular problem on a piece of paper. So what happens is everybody starts out with a piece of paper. Let's do this one really quick. Grab a piece of paper. Actually, let's use my sheet. That way we can pass them around the room without passing you a notebook. So, alright. So let's think of a topic really quickly. Do you guys have any other topics picked out that you know you're going to write about?
Well, I don't know, research.
Research topics? Okay. Is there any like off the head topic? How about, have an idea? Let's see. How about healthy diet? You guys into healthy diet a little bit? Could you say anything? Or how about healthy lifestyle? So write healthy lifestyle at the top of the page. That way it can be diet, it can be exercise. Okay, and then what you're going to do is write down, and they could be loosely related, they could be totally related, they could be ideas that are just kind of an emotion or anything at all. Just write down 2 sentences below that about anything even remotely related to the topic. Okay? I'm going to pause this. Well, I'm going to tell you guys what we're going to do before I pause it. So we're both going to write down 2 ideas. All of us, will write down 2 ideas. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that same piece of paper and pass it to the next person at the table. So all the pages are going to come around. And then we're going to look at the other person's ideas and write ideas off of their ideas, if we can think of anything. If not, we'll write down 2 more ideas. Okay? I'm going to pause that while we do this. Okay, so with the essay, you're picking your topic. It can be anything. It could be something you can write out of your head that you don't have to do any research for. It can, as a matter of fact, if you write an essay in school, a lot of times you have to write them on the spot, so there's no time to research. Or you can pick something you do have to research for. We're not going to use in-text citations this time or a citation page, so don't worry about any of that stuff. Don't directly quote somebody without saying who you're quoting, though. That's the only thing. So, but you can pick a topic like how to teach the dog how to do the teeter-totter thing or about cell phone usage. And even if you don't do any research at all, you can do as much as you want to from your own head. Okay? You're picking topics. You're picking who you want your audience to be. So just in your own mind, who are you writing this for? And don't think of me. Try to think outside the box. Like, I'm writing this for people who really are addicted to their cell phones and they need help. Or I'm writing this to teenagers who haven't got addicted yet, but they need to know this is coming, maybe, okay? Or to grandparents who don't understand why their kids are constantly staring at their phones, right? Maybe you're writing to other trainers. Or maybe you're writing to someone who just bought a dog for the first time and they want to get interested in some of the activities they can do with them. So you get to pick your audience. And that will tell you what voice you're using, okay? Are you using a voice because you're talking to 10-year-olds? Or are you using a jargon and things that only other trainers are going to understand, right? So so I'm going to pause this again. Okay, so minimum write about a half a page-ish. If it's close, that's okay. That's good enough. And maximum, there's no maximum this time. Just don't write me a 30-page report. Okay? Okay. Okay, get into your shared from the essay class folder. And I think it is, actually, I have to get there too. I can never remember the names of these folders that I've named. Shared from essay class. And then, come on. I think it's the help and miscellaneous. Go into there. Nope, that's not it. Where are you? Optional useful printables. And then it says for better writing. Click on that one. We are out of time, but I was going to have you guys go ahead and write for a few minutes about that paper that you read earlier in class today. Okay, so if you guys are watching this and you have not used an hour and a half of your time, go ahead and do this. You're going to write about what you've been reading about, and just you're going to write it off the top of your head. Okay, now I want you to use the ideas that you find in this For Better Writing document to where you're using quality adjectives, strong verbs, ly adverbs, just to kind of dress up your documents a little bit. Dress up your articles. And you can just write it straight out of your head, however it comes out of your head. Just get all your ideas out, and then you can go back in, check spelling, check grammar, check punctuation, and check for these things. Make sure that you're spicing your papers up a little bit. The second part that says sentence openers, sometimes you're going to start with a subject, sometimes you're going to start with a prepositional phrase, like during the night, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about these before. If there's anybody that doesn't have access to these, I have a whole class in my research paper class that we talked about these that I can link to that if I remember. Otherwise, contact me if you're interested. Okay, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. And let me see. Okay, bye guys.